What's going on, beautiful people? Thank you guys for tuning in, for watching. I love every single one of you guys. You're all amazing, wonderful beings. You're all amazing. So thank you for watching and listening to my bullshit rants. Today, I got a mushroom trip for you guys, and this was my first bad trip. Okay, it was my first, but again, I'll tell you why it not really is a bad trip, because ultimately at the end of that trip I was feeling amazing and loving and just hugging everyone and all. But during the trip I feel like they always tell you the mushroom gives you what you need, right? During the trip I feel like not my usual trips. My usual trips are very happy and boom, 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 boom. So I would maybe classify this as a bad trip, but even then, at the end of it, I was fine. So let's go through the whole story, okay? This was my last trip, right? January 3rd, January 4th. I've been working hard, and I just want to take a break. And my friend wanted to trip, and I said, okay, I tripped with this friend before several times. So, we're comfortable. And it was a cold, gloomy day. That's siren number one, right? Cold, gloomy day. Gloomy. So I took 5 grams, and I've already taken half a tab of acid before, because I've been working really hard and I just want to take a break and trip and just see what happens, right? So I'd already taken half a tab, and I got myself in a psychedelic state, but it wasn't that ego loss. It wasn't that just what the fuck's going on. It's no longer me type of environment. I still had a grasp on my ego, but I took 5 grams. It took a little bit of time to hit, and then we went into nature, and we're looking around. Oh my god, this is so beautiful. This is so amazing, right? And me and my friend are chilling. We're laughing. We're having a good time. And then you can feel it start to creep in. So the giggles start. We start to laugh and everything. And then we sit there, we chill there. Then I tell my friend, I gotta go. I gotta go. I'll be back. I gotta go. So I just felt like I gotta go, right? I've had an urge. I had to go. And I always get that on mushrooms, because it's like I think the spirit wants to tell me something, or I just need to be alone right now. So I go, and I go to this place, and I'm like admiring the beauty of it all. And suddenly I feel this intense crying coming out. Like I feel like I just want to cry a fucking river of tears. And of course, I'm trying to resist it a little bit, right? Because I'm like, there's still that little bit. I'm like, why are you sad? Why? I'm like, you got nothing to be sad over, right? Everything is going nice in your life. Why are these tears coming up? I'm like, I don't have. Why am I crying? Because really, like going into the trip, I was going in a very good mood. I was dancing, I was singing. It was a good mood, man. It wasn't like anything. Everything's going well in my life. I don't have anything that is abnormal or abnormal. Everything's going well, and is still going well. Everything, thank God, it's going well. So I'm there, and I'm trying to fight the tears a little bit, which is the worst thing you can do on a trip. You want to surrender to it, and I'm trying to fight the tears a little bit, right? I'm trying to like, why are you crying? What's the reason? What's the reason? I'm trying to, of course, use my analytical mind here. I'm like, why? Everything's going good. I'm trying to like, make myself feel better, but it's like it wasn't working. The tears were just there, and there was a lot of them, right? And I didn't cry, even though I felt like I needed to really cry. I didn't cry yet. I went back to my friend. I'm walking there. There's a sadness in there. There's a great sadness in there in me, right? I go back to my friend, and he's not there, but then I know where to find him. So I go and I find him, and we hug it out or whatever. But I'm still feeling this sadness, right? He's doing his thing. He's got his own thing going on, and I got my own thing going on now, right? And I'm feeling this sadness a little bit, right? And I think what contributed, there was a lot of factors that contributed to the sadness. I'll talk about the first factor, the obvious one. The fact that it was gloomy, man. I was there, and the first thing I was saying was like, I miss the sun. Because I haven't seen, I'm a sucker for the sun, by the way. If it's a sunny day, that is it. That is a perfect day for me. And I think I'm gonna have to at some point move to somewhere where it's sunny all the time and it's nice, warm climate. As much as I'm a cold shower preacher, but that's just one of those things. It's good in moderate doses, just in the shower dose. But really, I love warmth and sun. And the first thing that was going on in my mind was like, I miss the sun. I just, because it was all snowy and stuff. I'm like, I just want to be laying on green grasses. I just want the sun. Because, here in Canada, man, like when it's too much winter and you're not seeing the sun and it's just always fucking cold, I miss that. I felt like, fuck, I just want to be in a sunny place right now. I was like a kid, right? I was like, I just want the sun. I just want warmth. I want warmth. So, that was coming up in me. And I think that contributed to the overall sad theme of this trip. And that's why I call it a bad trip, but I don't know if it's a bad trip. But it's a sad trip. It was just a very sad day, right? It contributed to the sadness of the day. So that was the first thing. And then we're getting cold, so we go sit in my friend's car. And I'm starting to feel really sad. And he's saying some stuff, and I get in some alterations with him. It's like we start to, talk, and there's some bad vibes going on right now. Okay, there's just some bad vibes. So, that even contributes more to these feelings that I'm having. There's just like bad vibes between me and this, what I consider a brother of mine, right? There's just bad vibes. We're starting to like, it never happened. We're starting to talk shit. Okay, and I tell him, just take me home. I want to fucking go home. And after that, this is what happens. This is crazy. I think of my sister, right? I have 3 sisters. I'm not gonna overshare here. I have 3 sisters. I think of one of them, and as soon as I think of her, I completely lose my shit. I start to cry rivers, right? Complete rivers. Just go run down my tears. My friend hugs me, and then I start to say, wow, she's suffering right now. She can do better right now. I feel her pain. And I'm not gonna go into personal details as what the story and why she's, but I felt her emotions. I picked up on her emotions, and this is why the tears were coming up. They weren't my own tears. They weren't tears of mine. They weren't tears of, oh, look what Saeed's going through. Because like I said, I'm going through one of the best phases of my life right now. It wasn't my own tears. I had picked up my sister's emotional pain, right? I had picked it up, and I just completely lose myself in tears, I'm like, as I'm crying, I'm like, she's so good. She's beautiful. She suffers so much. I don't want her. I want her to be happy. And I'm just crying. God knows how long I was crying. 15 minutes maybe more. I'm just crying. And I'm looking around, I'm like, man, there's so much sadness and suffering in the world. So I got on that sadness and suffering vibe, I guess. That was the trip took me there. I was like, man, there's so much sadness and suffering in this world. I don't want people to suffer. And then I started mumbling things like, I want to help. I'm here to help. The mushroom always reveals to you your mission. I'm like, after this crying went away for 15 minutes or 20 minutes, and it was like mostly for my sister, but then out of it came from this realization and this visceral feeling of the emotional pain and suffering of the majority of the world, which I think it is. I think the majority of the world is in some kind of suffering, physical pain, emotional pain, spiritual pain, because again, the societies we've built are just so fucking dysfunctional, and they're so against what it is to be human. And I think what I picked on that day was actually what is happening in the majority of the world, just suffering, lots of unnecessary suffering. Like people who don't take care of their health are suffering the consequences. If they took care of their health, they wouldn't be in this physical pain, right? And they haven't taken care of their health because they've been brainwashed into whatever fucking culture and advertising and in their culture that they've grown up into, never were conscious at some point saying, well, maybe I shouldn't be eating this food. And I'm just gonna show compassion, no judgment here, and then that's it. They're suffering. So I picked up on that suffering, and then there's people who are suffering emotionally, mentally, because they grow up in these fucked up cultures that repress sexual expression and that repress basic human needs and basic human expressions, and are based on lies and deception and impressing other people and getting the validation of other people, and it's just really, really, really destructive to the soul and to the psyche and to the emotion of the human being. So I guess I felt the pain of the suffering of all the world, and that kept me crying. And after that the tears passed. Finally, I expressed them. I knew why. I stopped resisting them, and I knew why they came to me. It had to do with my sister. It had to do with the suffering of the world. Then I got up and I'm like, as I'm wiping the tears, right? And I'm like, I'm here to help people. I'm here to help people. I'm like, I start to like beat on my chest. I'm like, I'm here to help people. I'm here to help people. This is my mission. I'm here to inspire people. I'm here to help people. I'm here to spread positive energy. And then I started feeling better, right? And that's when the badness of the trip was sort of, see, that's why I don't think there's such thing as bad trip. Because ultimately, after that, I started cracking jokes. I felt better. I'm like, all right, I'm reborn. I'm going to fucking carry out my mission in this world. I'm going to continue to inspire and spread positive energy. And I started feeling better. We started joking around with my friend. Then we went to visit another friend of mine. And just to keep on this theme of sadness and grief and sorrow for that day, which I guess the mushroom wanted me to experience that day. And this is exactly why it happened. Another friend of mine, in front of my friends, comes in where we were chilling. We went to chill at my friend's house. We sneaked in. They knew we were sneaking in. And then one of my friends comes in, and her dad just passed away. She just buried him right now. And she just was in the funeral right now. And she just buried him, right? She walks in. I'm like, hey, what's the matter? And then she's like, oh my God, I just buried him. And she fucking starts bursting in tears. And of course, because this has been an overall sad day where I'm experiencing the suffering and the sorrow of the world, I fucking start crying with her. I hug her, I'm like, don't worry, everything's gonna be all right. And I keep hugging her, and I'm like, don't worry, he's in a better place. And I'm crying with her, right? I'm just, tears are going down. I'm crying right now. So yeah, that goes on for a little while. And we talk about, like, we start to, again, you cry and you let it out, then somehow the jokey side of you starts to come out. So even after she cried and I cried, and we just, again, I experienced her suffering, her grief, her sorrow, like, firsthand. And then we start joking, we're like, yeah, your dad's watching over you right now. He's making sure, like, he's probably watching over you, and he's gonna fucking get you if you don't study and if you don't do this. So we started joking about it. She got in a jokey state of mind. I got in a jokey state of mind, which is why I think it's very important to, if you have tears, just, surrender to them. Let them go. Let them be. Let the tears come. Let the sadness come. Experience the sorrow, because it passes. This too shall pass. This is the whole life that we're in. This life that we experience is transient in nature. Change is the only constant in life. The more we can understand that, the more we can be okay with that, the more we can be okay with sadness, with grief, with happiness, with joy. And so, I was okay with the sadness, and she was okay with it, and the grief, and we cried, and she told me she hasn't been crying because she had to be the stronger one for the family, and she just felt like she needed to cry. And after she cried, and she felt better, and I felt better, right? After all that, I've cried a lot that day, right? It was just an overall, the theme was just a sad theme, depressing. Yes, it was a sad, depressing theme. And I think it just aligned perfectly, synchronicity. It's a gloomy ass day, cold ass day, and it's been like a series of gloomy days. It's not like, oh, this is the one gloomy day. So it's like we haven't seen the sun in a while. It's been really gloomy in a while. It's been really cold in a while. And it's sort of just the way that day unfolded itself, the sadness, the grief, and then at the end of it, seeing my friend's friend. She's not really my friend. I know her because she's his friend. And totally unanticipated, she comes in, she told me I just buried my dad. And I didn't think of it at the time, but now after the trip, I'm like, perfect. The spirit of the mushroom wanted me to experience grief and sorrow that day. that it just wanted me to. So everything, the way it was set up, the perfect synchronicity of the day that I went, wanted me to experience sorrow and suffering to understand, because feeling is understanding, and I felt the suffering of the world that day, and I felt the suffering of my sister. That's why the tears were coming up, and I felt the suffering of my friend's friend, because she just buried her dad, and I was crying with her. Like, I was just had the same tears. I was just crying because I felt it. I was her that moment. Her, I just buried my dad. I was her that moment. So definitely the gloomiest, most depressing trip I've had, but also just made me really. I think it made me more compassionate that day. I felt more compassion for the world. So it was necessary. That's why I don't know. I'm still hesitant to call this a bad trip or not. I'm still hesitant because I don't have a file for bad trips, because I never have. I've always, my trips have always been very happy, very jolly, very just just pure laughter and ecstasy. This one was depressing, right? This one was crying and sadness and tears, and I don't know if I want to put it in bad trip, because ultimately it wasn't. Ultimately, after we consulted her, I consulted her, we were laughing, we were joking, and then I went back home. I told her, stay strong, I love you, and I told my friend, I love you, and I was just like in a very amazing state of mind. I went home, had a beautiful sleep, was in an amazing state of mind. I felt like I let go. I let go of things here, and I felt like I felt the suffering of the world. So I don't know if I want to call it a bad trip. Definitely, I needed it. They always tell you the mushroom doesn't give you what you want; it gives you what you need. So I needed to experience suffering that day. I need to experience the pain of others. I needed to experience the pain in the suffering of my own sister. And I'm trying to, work things out and trying to make that go better for her. After that day, I'm just like, no, I really want my sister to be happy. So that also revealed something to me that I need to do in my own personal life, in my own personal relationships. Now, if this is definitely not the best place for someone who's gonna have their first trip, right? So I highly recommend, guys, if you're gonna have your first trip, this is just my own recommendation. I'm a sucker for the sun. I highly recommend that you do it on a sunny day. Really, really, it makes a difference. If you want that happy, jolly, to increase the likelihood and the probability, because I don't know what your experience is going to be like. I can't dictate it. I can't guarantee anything. But if you want to increase the probability of your first trip being more on the happy, jolly, laughter, love, and humor and jokey side, which is, literally every single trip but that trip. Actually, another one when I became my mom. That was a sad one too. So I forgot about that. To increase the likelihood of that happening, do it on a sunny day. Could be a cold day, but sunny day. Most of my trips, I've done them on a sunny day, and they've been really fucking happy. I don't know, I'm a big sucker for the sun. I love the sun. I'm a sun worshiper. When I see the sun, like today, I go like this, and I like legit feel like the sun is alive, and I legit start saying beautiful things to the sun. I treat the sun like a girlfriend, honestly, like a girlfriend. I start to say like sweetest things to her, to the sun, because I love the sun. I'm a huge sucker for the sun. So I think, my own recommendation, if you want to increase the likelihood of you having a really happy, jolly kind of trip, do it in a sunny day. Definitely. Do it in a sunny day. Sometimes it's sunny. Other than that, I think the trip gave me what I needed. I needed those tears. I needed the suffering. I need to experience my sister's suffering so we can deal with that. And it revealed some things to me also that I won't go too much into detail about. It revealed some things to me in that trip as well. And overall, it wasn't the best trip. It wasn't a good trip. It gave me what I needed. And ultimately, then the one lesson that I got out of it is there's a lot of suffering in the world. And I'm here to be in the healing side of it. I'm not here to be creating suffering. I don't want to create suffering. I want to be on the healing side of the universe here. I want to facilitate or be a facilitator of healing, right? Because we need it. The world is suffering, and I really felt like I felt the suffering and the pain of the world. And I'm like, wow, there's so many people suffering right now, right? And that's it. I really don't want to experience that anymore, to be honest, because I don't want to go on the suffering vibe. I want to keep the happy, healing vibe. You see, it's good to experience that suffering, and I did, right? But I don't want that anymore because I want to be a constructive part of the solution. I want to provide solutions. This is what I want to do. I don't want to just dwell on the suffering and the pain and the negativity. It's there. I know it. I felt it. But I don't want to keep feeling it because then I want to act as a healer. I want, now at least I understand, okay, the majority of the world is suffering. I want to be the healer. Like, when I say I want to be the healer, I'm not saying like, oh, I'm the fucking prophet, the healer. No, no, no. There are many healers and many prophets, right? This is the healing part of the universe. You could be a healer. Just by you, if you say something nice and positive to someone else, you're now a healer. You're now on the healing side of the universe, right? And what I realized as I came out of the tears, and I'm like, I want to help people. I want to help people. I want to inspire people. I want to spread healing and positivity. So I'm going to keep doing that. You know, that just only reinforced my mission, just to keep doing that, keep trying my best, right? I'm not perfect. I'm definitely an idiot. But to keep as much as I can to provide healing energy, positive energy. That's it. God bless you all, guys. Love you. Love every single one of you guys. But don't forget to subscribe or you're going to sleep with the fishes.